Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins. Before we have a closer look at all the content here in this video, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Doing those three things doesn't cost you a dime and it helps the channel immensely. For those of you that do want to invest more in your game and become a better player quicker, then you can scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link that is in the description down below, patreon.com/golfclashtommy. And for those that are looking for more free content as well, our website golfclashtommy.com is the place where you can find loads and loads on loads of free content to learn from. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get to the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also a ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 5. This is one of the easier holes of the City Park. Sure, it's bumpy, but when we are getting the drive correct over to a short iron, we're getting ourselves in a very nice spot to attack the pin. Very easy for an eagle in my opinion. Here in tailwind it's perfect. We don't have to use any better ball than a power 3 ball. We start at max using some top spin and also some right spin because we do want to be close to the rough line on the left, but obviously not going into it. Maximum distance plus 10, and I'm using the driver that gives me the most power. Perfect ball it is, and you will see me bounce on the fairway over the rough and the bunker and be very close to the rough line, maybe a little bit too close to comfort, but now we are close to pin and we do have a short iron to attack. Short iron here, it's all about finding a reference. We are playing a non-linear hole, which means if playing based on drive yardage is not smart in my opinion. So having to find a pin check, fringe check, or a rings from min or something like that is definitely something that is very recommended. There is a little sticky spot up there where catching that spot will give you some room for error. But as you can see here now that I'm not really doing a rings from min. I don't have a check, which means that I'm going to have to make an educated guess on what type of club distance or what type of percentage of my club I'm playing in. And that's never something that is recommended, especially not in tournaments. Because in tournaments it's all about consistency, and then we do need those checks to be consistently dropping these type of shots, because this is, unfortunately, regardless what you think, this is going to be a par 4 where you're going to have to get an eagle if you're going to have any chance for a top spot. Hole number 7 is, in my opinion, a very good chance for a hole-in-one. The only difficult part, though, is when you're going to push or pull the rings. And you're gonna notice that in just a bit. So what I'm looking for here now is that to have the blue ring just to be by the fringe and to be with my ball guideline just left of where the ball guideline being cut away by the tree. Or clipped away by the tree, which is a very easy spot to find. Now you can see here in this angle we are definitely having that big tree in our face, and then you either have to push or you're gonna have to zoom out so you do have a free view of making your adjustment. There will be times where the tree will not be in your face and then you can zoom in properly, but that's obviously the toughest part, and the toughest part to give you a very consistent way of dropping the hole-in-one. But if doing it correctly and you hit perfect with the outside wall right curl, the ball comes in a very nice funnel on the back of the green and drops lovely for an hole-in-one. Max plus a 25% elevation, P2 numbers is what we're using as adjustment. For a POC 5, 6, 7 and 8 we start with a power 4 ball in NMT, then we swap directly to a power 5 ball, wind 2 or wind 3 ball. 5.8 top spin, and we're going to use 1 left spin. For those of you playing with Apocalypse level 4, play with a power 5 ball directly from start, because then you will open up at max, and that's going to be compensated for if by using a P5 ball compared to using a P4 ball with a POC 5 plus. Adjust max plus 10 P3. We're going to go full curl to the right and try to hit perfect. Great right and great left are just fine. We do have a lot of fairway to play on, but we want to keep ourselves closer to the right side than to the left side, aiming for around 400 yards. Second shot, now we're going to play with our Cataclysm because we are going to be needing to use a lot of power, and the sniper won't cut it, especially if you have it in a lower level. Top of the yellow ring by the rough line with Cat 8 is going to be different overlaps with other Cat levels, obviously due to different accuracy. This is the angle we want to have, because this is a do-nothing angle. We play 2.8 backspin and 2 right spin, ball guideline through the hole. Now we're using plus 12 as our base. That's 100% slider with no elevation, P5 numbers. Center the ball and hit perfect, and we are going to bounce into the rough nicely, and we roll to get a nice albatross here from distance on hole number 9. Hole number 2, we're gonna play into one of the bigger funnels in the game. But this wind is difficult, and the reason this wind is difficult is because first and foremost it's a headwind, and second of all it's a wind that the tree will cover our view, and we're gonna have to push the rings, which is never something that is fun. One topspin, and we're gonna use the right side of the yellow ring by the rough line at the top of plus 2. Now, maximum distance with a 25% elevation, P3 numbers, and here we are going to make sure that we are pushing straight, and I'm absolutely terrible at that. I very often push not in a straight line, so that's the reason why I'm adding 2 clicks of overpower here, because I felt I did not pull straight and needed to compensate by doing a little bit of overpower. Because if you are not pulling straight, and if you pull yourself further back or closer towards the tee, there is a risk that you do get dead bounces, and then the hole-in-one obviously is gone. But if we do have that rollout as we're looking for, I would say this is probably one of the best chances you do have on all the 9 holes to get a drop. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides for Expert and Master Division for the College Chaos 9-Hole Cup. Now, as well, with the new clam points for the 9-hole cups, they have been increased massively, and this is just giving an even better chance to get an advantage with our text guide. So scan the QR code here on the screen, or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy via the link that is in the description down below. As always, we do provide content for not just tournament guides, but also checkpoint challenge and tour play. We have something for everyone. For the drive on hole number 1, we are going to play with our rock, and for the rock 9 we're gonna start at the top of +0, which is just before +1, obviously. White ring to the right by the rough line, and once we have found that, we're gonna apply 1.5 bar topspin and 1.5 bar of right spin. Adjustment is going to be maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment, power 3 ball settings. The goal here is to get the ball to stop just before the 2 big bunkers, so we have a nice view towards the pin on the second shot. So it's a very consistent drive, and then obviously the second shot we are going to play into the massive funnel that is on the back of the green. You don't have to play with a Kingmaker if you don't want to. It's a tailwind. I would recommend to do as a minimum a power 1 ball at least. So we're getting it consistently down to be around 330 to 335 yards. Looking then at the second shot, we're gonna play with our sniper level 9+, because we do want to have 6 backspin. If you happen to have a lower level sniper, we do recommend to play with the Guardian. The problem with the Guardian is that you do not have a good ball guideline, and then you have a risk of being off with your landing spot and therefore miss your shot. So we're using the 6 backspin, moving up to have the top of the yellow ring to be just by the fringe line, with the ball guideline falling down into the hole. Adjustment is going to be based on yardage, and so we do have our base, which is 331 yards, and that is 64% slider with a 10% elevation P3 numbers. Center the ball and hit perfect, and then you will see yourself having an extremely good chance with getting an eagle. I would also have to say that you can hit a great ball here and still have a good chance for a drop, which is the beauty with playing into a funnel, because a funnel means that we do have a spot that is very forgiving, and that's something that is very fun to play with, because it doesn't really it doesn't destroy around just because you hit a bad shot. On the drive, start with quarterback incomplete, max distance with a power 3 ball. White train to the left by the rough line, swap to a pock and sniper bag. 4 topspin, and we're going to go half a bar of right spin. Adjustment is going to be max plus 10 P2. And once we have adjusted for max plus 10 P2, we are going to go full curl to the left with max overpower with a completely slow needle. Perfect ball it is, and we see the first bounce be on the fairway, and the second bounce obviously on the fairway too, and then we roll nicely to around 355 yards. On the second shot, we're going to use a 3 right spin, and then whatever topspin that gets the ball guideline to the hole, and this is by having the top of the yellow ring to be by the rough line. It's going to be somewhere between 1.5 to 1.8 topspin generally. So finding the spot as we would like, obviously double check so it is as we want, perfect, and then we are having 66% slider with a 10% elevation P3 numbers from +4, and then we're adding or subtracting 0.1 for every yard. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this is going to be a good chance for a drop on a tricky and somewhat fairly difficult par 5 in my opinion. You can see as well that I'm adding some left curl. We're doing some wind angle tweaks here also to be absolutely spot on. Bounce up and rolls up, and we're getting this one to drop dead center. Hole number 4, and here you will see a rough bump as well. I like the rough bump here in headwind due to as it's very easy to find minimum distance line with a P5 ball, and that will obviously be super helpful when we're going for a rough bump. So what I'm doing here is that I'm setting a spin that is top spin, and I'm not looking at the ball guideline at all. I'm just looking at the yellow ring's position to be by the rough line in complete minimum distance with a power 5 ball, and that's why you saw me starting with a berserker. After that, I do change to a centurion. I do like to play with either a wind 3 or a wind 4, but you can switch to literally whatever ball you would like, because the only thing that it's going to happen is that you're going to adjust yourself away from min club. Minimum distance +10, but obviously the adjustment it in itself will be different depending on if you play this rough bump in angle tailwinds, crosswind, tailwind, and stuff like that. If you're not interested to go for the rough bump, which I believe is the best way to go for a hole-in-one consistently, at least in headwind, but then you can bounce on the fairway further back down, and that's not a bad route, but it's, in my opinion, more angle dependent. And I also think that especially now with the new putting and going for a bounce up shot like that, where you risk not going all the way up, you know, that might not be the best way to go. On the drive, we start with the quarterback in NMT, then we're swapping to our Apok and Sniper bag. We're gonna play with 3 right spin, and we're gonna play 5.8 top spin. Adjust this max +10 P3. And then we're gonna go with full curl to the right and max overpower with a completely slow needle. Here I value consistency. My goal here is to consistently get ourselves to a sniper that we do have a good chance to drop. and that's going to be a yardage that is approximately 340 yards. On the second shot, we are going to do a top white ring check by the fringe. I'm going to go 3 left, 4 back, and we are going to have the ball guideline just into the hole. You can see here now, top of the white ring to be just there at +5 is where we're at now. Obviously, when it comes to sniper 9, it's going to be +7 that has the same numbers as +5 with sniper 10. Now, adjust is going to be 40% slider, -10% elevation, P3 numbers, and that's going to be our base from +5. We're adding or subtracting 0.1 for every 2 yards. Bounces nicely on the fairway, up onto the green, and we roll dead center for a lovely eagle on a tough hole such as hole number 4. Hole number 6 is a pretty boring par 5, to be honest. Sure, there is a way of dropping this one, but it's going to be very difficult, especially if we're having this type of wind. What we're looking for here now is that we're looking to bounce on the left side there using not as much topspin that we can. The topspin is going to vary all from 6 to max depending on what wind angle you have. If it's a direct headwind, it's going to be max. If it is a crosswind, slightly less, and obviously if it's a tailwind, a bit less than that. For those that do want to go for power shots such as a power slice, then you can do so if you do have a tailwind, and there is a chance of being close to green or on the green or something like that, and that could obviously take away a lot of difficultness along the way to get an albatross. Because I believe if we can send it, the send it is definitely the way to go, because it will allow us to, not really, I mean, this is a tough one. You can see here now, we're close to max club with our cataclysm, and we are at max club, has to be said, with a power 4 ball as well, this is going to be a very difficult one. And here, the reason I want to show this type of video is that with the new putter that we're having here now, getting a putt like this that we're having here is not going to be easy. So in that way, it could almost be better that we lay up before the bunker and have a wedge towards the pin than just going for a Hail Mary going up towards the green. Obviously, if we have an attack towards the pin, then fine. But now I even had to offset, and it was basically just playing the green to get the eagle. But now we need to think a step further, because getting up there for that putt, that's not going to be easy at all. Very difficult par 5 to get an albatross on. Let's hope for tailwind, otherwise this is going to be fairly boring. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert division here with various wins. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to hit the thumbs up button before you leave. Scan the QR code here on the screen, or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. That will take you to our premium guides where you can subscribe and start improving your game today. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.